Every Fallout game has its share of unique weapons. Weapons that differ from their standard counterparts, whether they deal more damage, have unique effects, or have a different model. These weapons are usually one of a kind. Today let's go over every Fallout New Vegas unique weapon. We'll compare their damage relative to their normal variant, go over the references for their names, and explain where they can be found. The list I've come up with is about 79 entries long, so without further ado, let's get into it. Cram Opener. The Cram Opener is a unique bladed gauntlet carried by bounty hunter Little Buster. As you might expect, it can be pickpocketed from the mercenary, but there is another way to obtain it. If you complete the 3-card bounty quest for Major Daughtry at Camp McCarran, Little Buster will leave the camp and go to Freeside. After a few in-game days, his corpse can be found near the Old Mormon Fort. Compared to the standard bladed gauntlet, the Cram Opener does an additional 3 damage at a higher attack speed, leading to a damage per second increase of 8.4. It also deals an additional 4 damage on crits. It can be used 75 more times before breaking, and is worth 4 times as many caps as the standard variant. As for the name reference, I'd wager that, similar to the Man Opener from Fallout 3, it's a play on words of Can Opener. That, as well as making a reference to the canned processed meat that we see in the franchise, Cram. Though I'm not sure why you'd need a dedicated opener for Cram, as it's known to have a pull tab. Dr. Klein's Glove. Dr. Klein's Glove is a unique variant of the Scientist Glove from the Old World Blues DLC. It can be found in the upstairs section of House 101 in Higgs Village. Compared to the standard Scientist Glove, it deals a whopping 13 additional damage, leading to a DPS increase of 17.8. It has a 3 times crit modifier compared to the standard 1.5, and uses 10 fewer action points in VATS. On hit, it lowers an enemy's energy weapon skill by 5, and their strength stat by 2 for 30 seconds. On critical strikes, it lowers the target's strength by an additional 1 point for 30 seconds, and their damage threshold by 1 for 60 seconds. Yeah, I agree, it is a bit of a weird effect. Dr. Klein's Glove also acts as an improved holdout weapon. This glove once belonged to the leader of the think tank, Dr. Klein, before his brain was put in a robot. If worn alongside Dr. Klein's glasses and scrubs, you'll complete a challenge called Clandestine, a play on the word clandestine. Dr. Mobius's Glove. Similar to the previous entry, Dr. Mobius's Glove is a unique variant of the Scientist Glove. It can be found in the Forbidden Zone near Dr. Mobius. Compared to the standard variant, it deals 7 more damage, has a crit modifier of ×2, and costs 15 AP to use in VATS. Similar to Klein's Glove, it also comes with a unique on-hit and on-crit effects. On hit, it reduces the target's energy weapon skill by 5 and their perception stat by 2 for 30 seconds. On crit, it causes a knockback effect and frenzies the target, leading them to attack anything on sight. This is the glove that once belonged to former think tank member and nemesis of Dr. Klein, Dr. Mobius. If worn alongside Mobius's glasses and scrubs, you'll complete a challenge called Mobius Strip, a reference to the mathematical object of the same name. Embrace of the Mantis King. Embrace of the Mantis King is a unique Mantis gauntlet introduced in the Gunrunner's Arsenal DLC. It can be bought from Mick at Mick and Ralph's in Freeside. If Mick is dead for whatever reason, the Gunrunner's Vendortron carries a spare. Compared to the standard, Embrace deals an additional 12 damage, though at a slower attack speed. This leads to only a small DPS increase of 5, but a large critical strike damage increase of 34. It uses an additional 3 action points, and can attack 150 more times before breaking. It is also just ludicrously expensive at a value of 8,500 caps. What kind of mutated mantis claw is worth 8,500 caps? Jeez Louise. While the name Embrace of the Mantis King with an exclamation mark sounds like it must have some nutty, obscure, and well thought out sci-fi reference, it unfortunately does not. When asked about the weapon on Formspring, lead game designer for New Vegas, Joshua Sawyer, noted that the name didn't come from anything specific. He just wanted a cool sounding 50s sci-fi name. And, I have to admit, it's probably the coolest name for a unique weapon in New Vegas. Fist of Roar, or Fist of the North Roar. Fist of Roar is a unique Deathclaw gauntlet that needs to be crafted. While having the Wild Wasteland trait active, the name will change to Fist of the North Roar. But it is the exact same weapon, same stats, just a different name. To craft the weapon, one must defeat the Deathclaw mini-boss Roar in a cave near Boxwood Hotel, and loot its talon. Now, as a standard Deathclaw gauntlet does not appear in New Vegas, we don't really have anything to compare it to. Regardless, it is quite strong, requiring 100 unarmed skill and 6 strength to properly use. The Fist of Roar deals a staggering 50 damage per attack with a fast attack speed of 2 attacks per second. It has a bonus crit chance, deals bonus crit damage, and 2 times bonus limb damage, making it a swift and effective killing machine. It can attack 445 times before breaking. While the default Fist of Roar merely refers to the weapon as being a literal fist of the Deathclaw Roar, the Wild Wasteland name, Fist of the North Roar, refers to a 1980s post-apocalyptic anime and manga called Fist of the North Star. Golden Gloves. The Golden Gloves are a pair of unique boxing gloves found in the VIP lounge of the Lucky 38 Casino. Similar to the standard boxing gloves and even the boxing tape, the Golden Gloves are non-lethal, instead dealing fatigue damage. When an opponent takes too much fatigue damage, they become knocked out, recovering after a short time. Compared to the standard boxing gloves, the Golden Gloves deal 15 more fatigue damage at 50, has a 2 times crit modifier compared to 1 times, and can attack 250 more times before breaking. If an opponent cannot be fatigued, the Golden Gloves will deal 15 damage to their hit points. The name Golden Gloves refers to the annual American Amateur Boxing Tournament, the National Golden Gloves Competition. It is the most highly regarded amateur boxing event in the United States, and many amateur boxers, including the likes of Muhammad Ali, have participated in Golden Glove events prior to becoming professional boxers. Greased Lightning. Greased Lightning is a unique power fist that was added in the Gunrunner's Arsenal DLC. It is sold by Knight Torres in the Hidden Valley Bunker, or by the Vendortron if Torres is indisposed. Compared to the standard power fist, Greased Lightning is a speed demon. While the weapon has less damage per strike, 32 versus 40, it has nearly 3 times the attack speed, 3 versus 1.09. This makes it great for non-VATS unarmed users. It is also one of the most expensive weapons in New Vegas at a value of 15,000 caps. One of the first uses of the term Greased Lightning was in an 1833 English newspaper that mentioned someone speaking as quick as greased lightning. Prior to the term gaining popularity, the word lightning was already synonymous with speed, and then during the industrial era, it became known that well-greased machines worked faster than others. Thus, the two words were combined, resulting in a simile that means really darn fast. As the weapon has a crazy high attack speed, it's a fitting name. Oh, and supposedly it was a popular slang term in the 50s and 60s, but I've only ever heard the term as a song title for the musical Grease, which was set in the late 50s. So, what do I know? Love and Hate. Love and Hate are a pair of unique spiked knuckles that can be found on a Viper gang leader in Bonnie Springs. Inscribed on the knuckles are the words Love and Hate. Compared to the standard spike knuckles, L and H deal 5 more damage, swing a little bit faster. This results in a DPS increase of 16.6. Love and Hate have the same durability as the normal spiked knuckles, being able to attack 1,495 times before breaking. According to another Formspring question answered by Josh Sawyer, the Love and Hate knuckles are in reference to both the 1955 movie The Night of the Hunter and Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing. In The Night of the Hunter, Reverend Harry Powell has the words Love and Hate tattooed on his knuckles and gives a monologue about its dichotomy. In Do the Right Thing, Radio Raheem sports a pair of brass knuckles which read Love and Hate, and he recites Powell's monologue almost verbatim. Paladin Toaster. The Paladin Toaster is a unique zap glove that can be found on the corpse of a dead prospector in Black Rock Cave between Black Mountain and Helios 1. The Paladin Toaster, similar to the Zap Glove, deals bonus damage to robots and power armor-clad folk. While dealing the exact same bonus damage to these foes, 50 and 20 respectively, it does deal a little bit more base damage than the Zap Glove, 41 versus 35. Other than that, the Paladin Toaster is nearly identical to the Zap Glove, same crit damage, same attack speed, same AP cost. And while the Paladin Toaster is worth 1400 more caps, it also breaks faster, capable of attacking 395 times compared to 495. The name Paladin Toaster comes from its unique ability to deal bonus damage to power armor wearers. As Brotherhood of Steel Paladins typically wear power armor, it's this glove that is designed to toast them, hence the Paladin Toaster. Fun little piece of trivia, the Paladin Toaster, Zap Glove, and some other unarmed weapons were meant to use energy ammo, but as the game's engine didn't support such a feature, it was scrapped. You can see the little energy cell at the top of the weapon. Pushy. Pushy is a unique variant of the Displacer Glove. It can be found on a dead Jackal gang member in the Ruby Hill Mine. Like the Displacer Glove, Pushy comes with a knockback effect on strike, pushing the target back a few steps. Relative to the Displacer Glove, Pushy deals an additional 10 damage with a 0.11 faster attack speed, putting its relative DPS at 88.4 compared to the standard 68.2. Pushy can also attack 100 more times before breaking, 595 versus 495. It's not a bad little upgrade. Without knowing for certain, I'd wager the weapon's name is in reference to its push effect. Let me know if you've got something else. I can't think of any other pop culture reference for something called Pushy. Moving on. Recompense of the Fallen. Recompense of the Fallen is a unique dog-tag fist that can be found in the office of Aurelius of Phoenix inside of his desk in the Cottonwood Cove HQ. Relative to the standard dog-tag fist, Recompense is quite strong. More damage, 25 versus 20, higher attack speed, 1.89 versus 1.58, and is more durable, 750 attacks before breaking versus 495. If you're playing a character that for some reason likes to use dog tags as weapons, Recompense is a must-have. According to Google, the word recompense means compensation or reward given for loss or harm suffered or effort made. My takeaway is that by using the dog tags of fallen NCR soldiers as a weapon against the Legion, you are giving the Fallen some recompense. Hence, Recompense of the Fallen. There should be some achievement or challenge for killing Aurelius with this unique weapon. I think that'd be neat. How's that for a little recompense? Salt Upon Wounds' Power Fist. The next unique weapon is Salt Upon Wounds' Power Fist. As one might expect, this is Whiteleg's Warchief Salt Upon Wounds' own Power Fist. It can either be looted from Salt Upon Wounds after defeating him, or within the footlocker in front of the Northern Passage after completing Honest Hearts. Relative to the standard Power Fist, it's not bad. It's no Greased Lightning, but it's not bad. Compared to the standard Power Fist, it deals an additional 5 damage at a 0.71 increased attack speed, putting its overall DPS at 64.4 versus 43.6. The Power Fist also has an additional damage over time effect, dealing 3 poison damage over 10 seconds after every successful hit. This is represented in-game through the Power Fist having some salt attached to the front of the glove, literally rubbing salt into your target's wounds. As Salt Upon Wounds' warband tends to salt the earth as they conquer land, it's very on brand for the Warchief. Unfortunately, there's no real name reference, it's just Salt Upon Wounds' weapon of choice. She's Embrace. She's Embrace is a unique Yaoguai gauntlet given to the courier after they complete the Rite of Passage side quest in the Honest Hearts DLC. Again, it's not bad. Relative to the standard Yaoguai gauntlet, She's Embrace deals an additional 5 damage at a slightly higher attack speed, putting its damage per second at 44 compared to 32.6. It also has a higher crit chance modifier, ×3 versus ×2, costs slightly less AP, 20 versus 22, and has an abnormally high durability. Like, the default Yaoguai is quite durable itself, breaking after 2,995 strikes, but She's Embrace can swing a whopping 4,495 times before breaking, meaning that it deals a total of 112,375 damage before it breaks. That's like killing 32 level 50 giant robo-scorpions. It's unreal how durable this thing is. Now, the name of She's Embrace comes from an old Sorrow's tale about a girl being killed in a Yaogwai cave prior to her naming ceremony. As names hold a lot of power within Sorrow's culture, the tribe was saddened as a lack of name meant that her spirit would roam the mortal plane restlessly. The Sorrow's shaman said that since the Yaogwai had consumed the girl, the two were now one. The Yaogwai would be called Ghost of She. Upon defeating the Yaogwai, one receives the gauntlet, She's Embrace, the nameless girl's embrace. Free from the living spirit of the Yaogwai, she is finally able to rest. An embrace, a hug, as a thank you, or in the literal case, a gauntlet as a thank you gift. A little bittersweet side story there. Two-step goodbye. And the last unique unarmed weapon is the two-step goodbye. The two-step goodbye is a unique ballistic fist that was added with the Gunrunner's Arsenal DLC. It can be bought from the Vendortron. Okay, so this is one of the more unique weapons in New Vegas. Damage-wise, it's absolutely trash compared to the standard ballistic fist, dealing 10 less damage, but it has a unique effect that'll blow your mind. Upon killing your target with a critical strike, the target will explode after 2 seconds, dealing 175 splash damage around them. This makes it good for killing large packs of weaker enemies. Oh, and to aid with scoring some crit kills, the two-step goodbye has a ×4 crit chance modifier. And boom goes the dynamite. Again, I couldn't really find a pop culture reference for the name, but I'd wager the name comes from its multi-target and multi-damage nature. Like, the first step of the goodbye is the initial kill, and the second step of the goodbye is the massive explosion. Thus, two-step goodbye. Blade of the East. We're now on to the melee weapons, and the first one up is the Blade of the East, aka maybe the most useless unique in New Vegas. Carried by Legate Lanius, one must kill the monster of the East to acquire it. The only problem is that the game ends shortly after defeating Lanius, meaning that you don't really have time to play around with it. Compared to the standard bumper sword, the Blade of the East is very good. It deals over double damage, 65 versus 32, has a faster attack speed, 1.58 versus 1.42, putting its DPS at 104.6 versus 45.5. Not to mention it also comes with an additional 2 damage per second over time effect. It can knock enemies down with a special Mauler attack. The blade can also be swung 3,995 times before breaking. It is durable as heck. What is quite strange though is that it only has a cap value of 45 compared to the standard bumper sword's value of 2,500. As for the name, I've kind of alluded to it already. Legate Lanius, the monster of the East, carries the Blade of the East. It's simple as that. Blood Nap. Blood Nap is a unique version of the Bowie knife that can be found wedged into a street lamp at the Courier's Mile in the Lonesome Road DLC. Relative to a standard Bowie knife, Blood Nap is excellent and one of the strongest one-handed weapons in New Vegas. It deals over 30 more damage per second, 110.8 versus 79.6. It has a higher crit damage, 45 versus 35, and costs fewer action points to use in VATS, 17 versus 20. Durability is the same at 495, and it's worth 1,000 more caps, 2,000 versus 1,000. Outside of these stat differences, it also comes with a plus 10 to the sneak stat. The name Bloody Nap is likely in reference to the slang term dirt nap, alluding to the act of being dead. For example, if someone is taking a dirt nap, they are dead. Don't really know why it wouldn't be called dirt nap instead, but maybe it's just not as menacing as blood nap. Broad Machete. Next is the Broad Machete, a unique machete part of the Courier's Stash DLC. The weapon is granted to players with the DLC at the start of the game. Unlike the machete in New Vegas, Broad Machete looks like an actual machete, as opposed to looking like a modified paper cutter. For a starter weapon, it's not bad at all, dealing quite a bit more damage than the standard machete. It deals 4 more damage on hit at a .23 higher attack speed, putting its DPS at 48.5 versus the standard 33. It has a higher crit chance multiplier, a lower AP cost, and a higher durability. The only thing that's unique about this machete in particular is its lack of bonus limb damage. All other machetes have some limb damage modifier, but the broad machete does not have one. There is no real name reference, it's just a different machete with a different name. Chance's Knife. Chance's Knife is a unique combat knife that first appeared in the New Vegas promotional comic book All Roads. In-game, it can be found in Chance's grave near the tribal village. Now, Chance's Knife is one of the strongest melee weapons in the game, rivaling the previously mentioned Bloodnap. It deals 7 more damage on hit compared to the standard combat knife, and nearly attacks 1 more time per second, 4.15 attacks per second versus 3.23 attacks per second. This makes Chance's Knife deal 91.4 DPS versus 48.5. Other than the increase in damage, it's pretty similar to the standard combat knife. Same crit chance modifier, same AP cost, same durability. And while that might sound a bit lame at first, with all related crit perks, maxed melee weapon skill, high luck stat, and gear to increase crit chance, the DPS of the weapon can get as high as 600 DPS, allowing it to compete with some of the strongest weapons in the game, all at a total carry weight of 1 pound. It sounds kinda broken to me. Chance's Knife belongs to Great Khan's legends Chance. In the All Roads comic, he uses the knife to carve out a map during their plan to intercept the courier. Chance uses his knife to launch a counterattack on the fiends as they were razing a tribal village. After suffering a mortal wound, Benny would provide a spiked vial of Psycho to the pained man, offering him the choice to soldier on or to keep living in the past. Chance would down the vial. The following morning, McMurphy and Jessup would bury their friend with his knife before moving on out to Good Springs Cemetery. Chopper. Chopper is a unique cleaver found at the former home of Ulysses, the Wolfhorn Ranch. It's partially curved, rusted, and looks older than the other cleavers in the game. Though not as strong as other one-handed melee weapons, it is great in the early game. Compared to the normal cleaver, it deals more damage, 14 versus 7, attacks faster, 3.92 attacks per second versus 2.54, and has double the crit modifier, ×2 versus ×1. Other than that, the AP cost and durability are the same, 22 and 1245 respectively. Like other cleavers, it deals bonus damage to limbs. Chop chop indeed. I believe the name chopper comes from its intended use. Cleavers are made to chop. Easy peasy. Figaro. Finally, a weapon with an actual reference. Figaro is the unique version of the straight razor carried by King's barber Sergio. It can be looted from his corpse or pickpocketed. Unlike the standard wood handle, Figaro has a metallic handle. Relative to a standard straight razor, it slaps. Relative to many of the other melee weapons in New Vegas, it's pretty meh. Figaro deals 8 damage versus the default 5, attacks 4.15 times per second versus 3.69, has a ×4 crit modifier versus ×2, and can swing 445 times before breaking versus 370. The name Figaro is a reference to a 1775 French play called The Barber of Seville. The plot follows a Spanish count who falls in love with a girl named Rosine. To see if Rosine will love him and not for his royalty, the count puts on several disguises with the help of the barber from Seville, a man named Figaro. Gehenna. Gehenna is a unique variant of the shish kebab that can be purchased from the Vendortron at Gunrunners. Relative to a typical shish kebab, Gehenna deals an additional 27 damage per second, 121.3 versus 94.3. Its fire damage over time effect is also greater, 5 fire damage over 5 seconds versus 2 fire damage over 5 seconds on the default shish kebab. And while it does cost fewer action points, 25 versus 28, it also has less durability, 1995 attacks versus 2495. Gehenna is quite strong when used with perks like Pyromaniac, able to push its DPS to around 350. Gehenna is in reference to the Gehenna Valley in Jerusalem. Out of fear of sounding like an actual buffoon for being ignorant, Here's an excerpt from the wiki page. During the late First Temple period, it was the site of Tophet, where some of the kings of Judah had sacrificed their children by fire. Thereafter, it was cursed by the biblical prophet Jeremiah. In later Jewish rabbinic literature, Gehenna became associated with divine punishment in Jewish apocalypticism as the destination of the wicked. It is different from the more neutral term Sheol, the abode of the dead. The King James Version of the Bible translates both with the Anglo-Saxon word hell. So Gehenna would be hell, an ever-burning fire, similar to that of the unique shish kebab. Knock Knock. Knock Knock is a unique variant of the fire axe, and also the cooler-looking fire axe at that. Knock Knock can be found in a bathroom stall of Camp Searchlight's fire station. It's a solid fire axe. If you want to roleplay as Jack Torrance from The Shining, this is the axe for you. It deals 11 more damage with 0.22 more attack speed, putting the weapon damage per second at 118.8 compared to the standard axe's 86.8. Notably, Knock Knock breaks faster, only being able to attack 545 times before breaking, versus the 995 attacks of the standard axe. I think the axe definitely looks better than the damage that it deals, but it's still not a bad axe. As I alluded to before, based on the name and where it's found, a bathroom, I'd have to say that Knock Knock is a reference to The Shining. Specifically the scene where Jack Torrance breaks into the bathroom where his wife is hiding. Here's Johnny. Liberator. The Liberator is a unique version of the typical New Vegas machete. The paper cutter one, yeah. It's given to the courier after the completion of the We Are Legion side quest. This is the quest where you must eliminate 4 officers at Camp Forlorn Hope. Once that's done, Dead Sea will give you his blade. While the Liberator isn't the best machete in New Vegas, it's still solid, and a good improvement over the base machete and the starter broad machete. The Liberator deals 18 damage versus 11, makes 0.46 more attacks per second, and costs 2 fewer AP to use in VATS. It deals 2.5 times limb damage, and has the same durability as the broad machete, being able to make 370 attacks before breaking. Again, it's not the best machete, but it's not awful. When Dead Sea gives you the Liberator, he explains that it was a gift from his mentor after defeating the Sun Dogs tribe. I'd wager it's called the Liberator because from the point of view of the Legion, they're not annihilating and assimilating these tribal factions, but rather they believe that they are liberating them, freeing them from their tribal ties, and bringing them into the war machine that is the Legion. Let me know if you've got any other interpretations. Nephi's Gulf Driver. Nephi's Gulf Driver is a unique 9-iron carried by Fiend miniboss Driver Nephi. It can be looted from his corpse after dispatching the speedy foe. Nephi's club is in pristine condition, keeping its straight profile, unlike the rest of the 9-irons in the game, which all have a slight bend. Damage-wise, it deals nearly double the DPS of a standard 9-iron, 71.1 versus 40.3. It weighs less, costs fewer action points to use, but it is also less durable, only lasting for 245 attacks versus the standard 295. As far as names go, it's just a unique character's unique weapon. Now, according to lore, the weapon came before the man, as Mater Daughtry notes that Driver Nephi is called Driver Nephi because of his weapon of choice. So that settles that. Nuka Breaker. Next on the list is the unique rebar club, the Nuka Breaker. It can be bought from Mick at Mick and Rolf's, or is sold by the Vendortron if Mick is dead. Relative to a standard rebar club, the Nuka Breaker is all around the better choice. More damage, 50 versus 42, higher DPS, 75.8 versus 50.4, higher crit modifier, times 2 versus times 0.5, less weight, 8 versus 9. The only downside is the durability. The Nuka Breaker can only be swung 995 times before breaking, compared to the Rebar Club's 1245 attacks. This is one of the cooler references in New Vegas. So in early 2011, a live-action fan-made film called Fallout Nuka Break was released to YouTube. The film was a great success and led to a miniseries being released later that year. Obsidian obviously saw the film, loved it, and added the Nuka Breaker to the Gunrunner's Arsenal DLC, which would be released in late September 2011. When pre-release promotional images of the Gunrunner's Arsenal began to spread around, specifically this one, the Nuka Break team decided to add the same sign as a prop into their miniseries. This resulted in an unknowing circle of references. Nuka Break releases, Obsidian adds a weapon referencing the film into their game, and in turn Nuka Break adds that weapon as a prop into their miniseries, unaware that the weapon was originally referencing their work from the start. In the lead actor of the series, Zach Fernfrock's own words, "In a recent trip to Obsidian, we were lucky enough to find out the sign was a nod to us. But we put it in the episode as a nod to them before we knew that. It's all a big circle of nodding." Quite a neat reference and a little trivia for you there. Oh Baby. The next unique melee weapon is the unique Super Sledge Oh Baby. Found next to a dead Nightkin in the Charleston Cave, Oh Baby looks a lot more rusted when compared to the standard variant. Despite the rust, it absolutely slaps, dealing a whopping 80 damage per swing versus the default 70. Add a slightly faster attack speed, and Oh Baby dishes out 138.9 damage per second, compared to the standard Super Sledge's 105. Unfortunately, I tried, and I couldn't find anything to confirm the reference for Oh Baby. It's just such a generic phrase that it's hard to definitively say what it's in reference to. Some speculate it's an MC Hammer reference, others say it's a Big Bopper, a 1950s musician, reference. I can't say for certain one way or the other. Let me know what you think. Old Glory. The next unique melee weapon is the signature weapon of Ulysses, Old Glory. While Old Glory is a unique flagpole weapon, it can be repaired with a pool cue, so that's likely the best comparison there is. It can be looted from Ulysses if you choose to fight him. If not, it can be found in his footlocker after the completion of the Lonesome Road DLC. Of course, relative to the pool cue, it does bonkers damage. It deals 3 times the on-hit damage, 45 versus 15, and it attacks faster, leading to a nearly 4 times DPS difference, 85.3 versus 22.5. With that being said, it's far from being the strongest melee weapon in the game. The name Old Glory is a nickname for the flag of the United States. Considering that Ulysses despises the Old World, it seems a bit ironic to be carrying a weapon that symbolizes a nation that was part of the Old World, the United States. But as he is a cryptic and odd man, maybe it's symbolic to him. He strikes enemies with a symbol of the Old World, representing how even after centuries, it's the Old World that is killing people. I don't know, he's a strange man, that Ulysses. The Humble Cudgel. The second to last melee weapon is the unique version of the lead pipe, the Humble Cudgel. Unlike your typical lead pipe, the cudgel is less corroded and has a T-fitting on the end, making it look sorta like a hammer. It can be found on the corpse of a dead prospector in the sealed sewers. Honestly, I really like lead pipes in the Fallout series. They always seem to do so much damage even if they actually don't. The Humble Cudgel is no different. It deals 26 damage versus the standard lead pipe's 22. It attacks marginally faster as well, putting its DPS at 72 versus 55.8. It uses fewer AP points in VATS, and is more durable, breaking after 370 strikes versus the lead pipe's 245. It's not a bad lead pipe, you can't complain. Now, it really sucks when I can't find any good source for a reference for these kind of weapons. I try to scrub the recesses of the internet looking for someone who might know why this lead pipe is called the Humble Cudgel. The best I can come up with is that a cudgel is a bludgeoning object, and a lead pipe is nothing really remarkable, making it a literal humble cudgel. A cudgel that is humble. X2 Antenna. And the final unique melee weapon is the X2 Antenna from the Old World Blues DLC. It can be found at the top of the X2 transmitter antenna array. You can pluck it right from the satellite dish there. The X2 Antenna is truly a unique weapon with no standard variant. Despite this, it's pretty average, I think. It deals 65 damage per attack. It attacks quite slow, putting its DPS at only 70.4. It costs 22 AP to use in VATS, and has a measly ×1 crit modifier. What is nice about the antenna though is that it does bonus damage to both robots and power armor clad folk, similar to the Paladin Toaster. It can be swung about 620 times before breaking, and a fun note is that if one does not have the required 7 strength to properly wield the X2 antenna, it will swing painfully slow. And unfortunately, we end the melee weapons with another lame reference. Boo! The X2 antenna is named after the facility it's taken from, the X2 transmitter antenna array. Boo! A light shining in darkness. Finally, we're on to the unique guns of New Vegas. The first one up is Joshua Graham's unique 45 auto pistol, a light shining in darkness. The weapon can be looted from Joshua Graham's corpse if he is dispatched, or it can be looted from the Southern Passage footlocker after completing the Honest Hearts main storyline. It's quite the solid 45 auto too. It deals 4 more damage, 33 versus 29. It comes with a faster fire rate, 4.38 rounds per second versus 2.75 rounds per second. It has a higher crit chance modifier, a tighter weapon spread, a lower action point cost, higher durability, 1245 rounds before breaking versus 745 rounds before breaking, and weighs slightly less than the standard 45 auto, 1.2 versus 1.5. With all these positives, there is one slight negative. It carries 1 less round per magazine, 6 versus 7. The name of the weapon comes from its barrel engraving. Along either side of the pistol is part of a Bible passage etched in Greek text. The passage is from John 1:5, and when translated it reads, "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." To add to this, the quote also matches Graham's backstory and goes hand in hand with another quote of his. Graham says, "I survived because the fire inside burned brighter than the fire around me. I fell into that dark chasm, but the flame burned on and on." After being shamed by Caesar's legion and left for dead, the fire inside of him was shining in the darkness. The darkness would not take Graham. That's my interpretation of it anyway. Abilene Kid Limited Edition BB Gun. The Abilene Kid Limited Edition BB Gun is a unique BB gun that can be found in 2 different locations, depending on whether or not you have the Wild Wasteland trait. If you don't have Wild Wasteland, it can be found in Fields Shack, southwest of Nellis Air Force Base. If you do have the Wild Wasteland trait, it will instead be located inside of a well, part of the Jimmy's Well encounter with Rex. So, the Abilene Kid LE BB gun is pretty similar to the standard BB gun. Same poor damage at 4 per shot, same attack speed at 1.54 rounds per second, same bad weapon spread at 0.5, same high AP cost at 28, same rounds per reload at 100, and the same weight at 2. The Abilene Kid has a higher durability, 495 rounds before breaking versus the standard 245. Where the Abilene Kid gets interesting is when it crits. The unique BB gun comes with a 1.5 times crit modifier and boasts a hefty 70 critical damage. With associated perks, gear, and high luck, the Abilene Kid BB gun can really pump out some damage on crits, getting as high as 157 damage per crit. And as the weapon is classified as being silent, if you pair it with a character who can regularly score sneak attack criticals, well, now you've just turned a kid's toy into a super mutant slaying machine. The Abilene Kid LE BB gun is a multi-part reference. The Abilene Kid is the nickname for the youngest of the 3 rustlers in the 1948 American Western film Three Godfathers. The film is a Western retelling of the story of the 3 wise men. The inclusion of a unique limited edition BB gun is a callback to the Red Ryder LE BB gun from the classic Fallout games. The Red Ryder BB gun is a reference to the 1983 holiday film A Christmas Story, where young Ralphie receives a BB gun of the same name on Christmas. A little 2-for-1 action there for you. All-American. The next unique weapon is the All-American, the unique variant of the Marksman Carbine. This woodland camo-covered gun can be found in the Vault 34 Armory. The All-American is marginally better than the standard Marksman Carbine. It deals 2 more damage, 26 versus 24, has a slightly higher fire rate, 6 rounds per second versus 5.7. Combined, this puts the All-American's DPS at 156 versus the Marksman Carbine's 136.8. The All-American costs 1 less AP, 13 versus 14, has a slightly tighter spread, 0.035 versus 0.04, and can carry 4 more rounds per magazine, 24 versus 20. Finally, the durability is the same, able to fire 1995 rounds before breaking. It's definitely not bad, and can pump some solid DPS if used with proper perks. The name serves as a reference to the 82nd Airborne Division, as indicated by the insignia found on the weapon. First activated on August 25, 1917, the 82nd Airborne Division consisted entirely of newly conscripted soldiers. The group got their nickname All-American due to their unique composition. They had soldiers from all 48 recognized states. The 82nd Airborne Division is still active today and is based out of Fort Liberty, North Carolina. There's some trivia for you. Big Boomer. Big Boomer is a unique sawed-off shotgun carried by Old Lady Gibson at Gibson's Scrapyard. Relative to a standard sawed-off, it's quite good. Of course, that's ensuring that all pellets connect with their target. 14 pellets are fired, each dealing 8.6 damage, for a total damage of 120. As Big Boomer fires slightly faster than the standard variant, 2.5 attacks per second, it pushes Big Boomer's DPS past the 300 mark at 309.4. It has a slightly tighter spread, 3.5 versus 4.0, and costs 2 less AP to use in VATS. It's the best sawed-off shotgun and a great shotgun overall. The only real downside is that while other sawed-off shotguns are considered holdout weapons, able to be concealed, Big Boomer is not a holdout weapon. It will be confiscated. As for a name reference, I couldn't really find one. Both a blog on guns from backwoodshome.com and a study from the Violence Policy Center nickname high-powered pistols as Big Boomers. Perhaps due to the sawed-off's pistol-like grip, it would be considered a Big Boomer. I'm not really versed in gun slang, maybe it's just a nickname for guns that go boom. And a sawed-off does seem like something that would go boom. Let me know what you think. Bozar. Believe it or not, the Bozar is a truly unique light machine gun. While described as the ultimate refinement of the sniper's art, it is a great weapon for running and gunning. It can be purchased from the Vendortron at Gunrunners as part of the Gunrunners Arsenal DLC. While the Bozar deals less damage per shot, 19 versus 21, its improved rate of fire gives it a better damage per second, 285.1 versus 252. Bozar also has a much tighter spread, 0.75 versus the LMG's 1.5. It's really just the best of all worlds. Lethality of an LMG, accuracy of a sniper, range, mobility, and ammo type of a standard rifle. Perhaps the only downside is that it has a base cost of 20,000 caps. The Bozar is a reference to a Fallout 2 weapon of the same name. While Fallout 2's Bozar is a burst-fire tank shredder, the New Vegas variant is more akin to a scoped full-auto rifle, as New Vegas has very few of those. Christine's COS Silencer Rifle. Christine's Circle of Steel Silencer Rifle is a unique sniper rifle that can be found near Little Yongsti in the Old World Blues DLC. It is the weapon of choice for Circle of Steel member Christine Royce. While the weapon DPS is on the average side thanks to its slower fire rate, it does have a really high damage per shot, 68 versus the default sniper's 45. Paired with its slightly higher crit modifier, times 2.5 versus times 2, and silencer, Christine's rifle is a great weapon for stealth snipers. It is also slightly more durable than other sniper rifles, breaking after 420 rounds versus 395. It's definitely one of my favorite weapons in New Vegas. As for the name, the COS bit refers to Christine's organization within the Brotherhood of Steel. Christine is an agent of the Circle of Steel, essentially the Brotherhood's internal affairs division. The inclusion of Christine Royce and the Circle of Steel in New Vegas is a reference to Van Buren, as the group was originally intended to be introduced in the now-cancelled project. CZ-57 Avenger. The CZ-57 Avenger is a unique variant of the standard minigun. It can be found on the body of a dead prospector that's inside of a blue truck located in the center of the Devil's Throat. As one might expect of a minigun, the CZ-57 Avenger absolutely shreds, boasting the highest damage per second of any weapon in New Vegas at a whopping 390. With the proper setup, its DPS can get up to 649.7, melting most enemies. Not to mention that it's crazy accurate with a 0.55 spread versus the standard 1.0. It weighs less, 18 pounds versus 25, and it is significantly more durable, breaking after 7,995 rounds versus the standard 5,995 rounds. If enemies are your problem, the CZ-57 will quickly solve them. The name is yet another reference to the classic Fallout games, specifically the Avenger minigun from Fallout 2. The in-game description for the Avenger minigun from Fallout 2 is as follows. Rockwell designed the Avenger as the replacement for their aging CZ-53 personal minigun. The Avenger's design improvements include improved gel fin cooling and chromium-plated barrel bores. This gives it a greater range and lethality. So in Fallout 2, a new minigun, likely the CZ-57, was made to replace their previous model. Its inclusion in New Vegas is a callback to Fallout 2. Dinner Bell. The Dinner Bell is a unique hunting shotgun that's given to the courier after completing Red Lucy's side quest, Bleed Me Dry. That's the quest where you've got to go and collect some creature eggs for the cage fights in the Thorn. Dinner Bell, compared to most of the other uniques, is pretty trash compared to its standard variant. Sure, it deals slightly more damage, 75 versus 70, and has a tighter spread, 1.2 versus 1.5, but it's not that much better than a fully modded hunting shotgun. The big downside is that Dinner Bell breaks faster, only lasting for 745 rounds, compared to the standard 995. Sure, it's a nice damage boost, but it's not that much better. Probably best to just fully mod your standard hunting shotgun. There's no obvious cultural reference for Dinner Bell. I'd wager that because it's a hunting shotgun designed for hunting game, when you'd hear the sound of the gun firing, it would mean that the person hunting bagged a deer or something. A sound signaling that dinner was secured, similar to that of a traditional dinner bell. That's the best I got. Gobi Campaign Scout Rifle. The Gobi Campaign Scout Rifle is the second unique sniper rifle in New Vegas. It can be found in the locked gun case in the Sniper's Nest near Cottonwood Cove. It comes with a stylish desert camo look. The Gobi rifle deals only 3 more damage than your standard sniper, but it attacks quite a bit faster, putting its DPS at 102.9 versus the standard 86.8. A lower AP cost, tighter spread, increased magazine capacity, and lower weight secures it as a great long-range combat rifle. I still prefer the one-shot, one-kill style of Christine's rifle, but the Gobi rifle isn't bad either. While there's no explicit reference, the rifle sort of creates its own lore with its name. Gobi Campaign Scout Rifle implies that there was an ongoing military operation in the Gobi Desert in northern China prior to the Great War. As other accounts mention American forces taking the fight to mainland China, they can corroborate that a Gobi Desert military campaign may have been taking place there. These scout rifles would have presumably been the standard issue among American marksmen. Who would have thought that 4 words could add so much to the lore? La Longue Carabine. La Longue Carabine is a unique cowboy repeater carried by NCR 1st Recon Sniper Corporal Sterling. It's pretty much just a juiced up, fully modded cowboy repeater. It deals more damage, fires faster, has a higher crit modifier, costs less AP, has a tighter spread, more ammo capacity, and is more durable. And unlike the cowboy repeater, it reloads all of its rounds at once, instead of one by one. It's a great rifle, just too bad it doesn't belong to you. The name is a reference to a character nicknamed La Longue Carabine in the 1826 historical romance novel The Last of the Mohicans. Nathaniel Bumppo is a frontiersman known for his marksmanship and signature weapon. He is known as Le Longue Carabine, or the Long Rifle to the French. Lil Devil. Lil Devil is a unique variant of the 12.7mm pistol. It looks absolutely spanking, too. It can be bought from Mick at Mick and Ralph's, or as always, the Vendortron if Mick is 6 feet under. Relative to the standard 12.7, Lil Devil slaps. Higher damage, higher attack speed, better crit modifier, less AP to use, tighter spread, better durability, and weighs slightly less. To top it all off, unlike the normal 12.7, Lil Devil qualifies as a holdout weapon, allowing you to stay strapped in otherwise strapless situations. There's not a single thing to hate with this gun. Now, I can't say for certain if the name Lil Devil is in reference to some obscure pop culture icon, but if I had to guess, I'd say it's called Lil Devil for being both a small and deadly firearm. Let me know if you've got anything better. Lucky. Lucky is the next unique gun on the list. It is a recolored variant of the 357 Magnum, sporting a white grip with a black club near the base. It can be found in a locked floor safe in the Bison Steve Hotel in Prim. Lucky is a much stronger version of the standard 357. It deals 4 more damage, 30 versus 26, but its higher fire rate pushes its DPS to 82.5 versus 45.5, a 37 DPS increase. Combine this with its 2.5 crit modifier, low AP cost, and tighter weapon spread, and it becomes a great weapon for your suave gambler archetype. I'd have to imagine that Lucky gets its name from the gambling imagery on the weapon. I suppose it's also quite ironic that it's found in one of the few defunct casinos in New Vegas. Maria. Maria is a unique version of the 9mm pistol and is the signature weapon of head chairman Benny. It can be pickpocketed from the man or looted from his corpse. Maria, while not being the strongest weapon in the game, is the strongest of all 9mm ammo type guns. It deals 4 more damage per round, and paired with a higher attack speed, puts the gun's DPS at 1.5 times that of the normal 9mm, 75 versus 50. Maria has a 2 times crit modifier, costs less AP to use, has a crazy tight spread, and is more durable. It's a great pistol to carry through the early levels. Maria gets its name from featuring an image of Our Lady of Guadalupe, one of 5 Marian apparitions to appear to a Mexican peasant named Juan Diego. Another image of the Virgin Mary also appears on a pistol in the 1996 Romeo and Juliet adaptation. I believe the intention there is that the image of Mary will protect God-fearing folk from harm in battle. Medicine Stick. The next unique weapon is the unique variant of the brush gun, the Medicine Stick. It can be bought from the Vendortron at Gunrunners. Now, I don't want to tell you what to do with your caps, but I'm not sure the Medicine Stick is worth the 20,000 caps price tag. Sure, it's one of the highest damage per shot weapons in the game, dealing 78 damage per round, but it has a slow attack rate. Though I suppose if you want a one-shot, one-kill weapon, the Medicine Stick is a great choice. It deals 3 more damage per round at a marginally faster attack rate, putting its DPS value at 108 versus the default brush gun's 92. Medicine Stick costs 2 fewer action points to use in VATS, has the same weapon spread, and has 2 more bullets per magazine. It can fire 250 more times before breaking 995 rounds versus 745. But it does look quite cool, featuring an indigenous medicine wheel on the stock. Medicine Stick is a double reference. The name Medicine Stick refers to the practice of using medicine sticks, or spirit sticks, for rituals involving the spirit world. These sticks would be decorated in beads and feathers. The appearance of the Medicine Stick refers to how Native Americans would decorate their hunting rifles, adorning them with feathers, beads, and the like. Mysterious Magnum. The Mysterious Magnum carries the Lonesome Drifter is the mysterious stranger's son theory hard. As the unique version of the 45 Magnum, the Mysterious Stranger is perfect for those times where you really want to feel like the mysterious stranger. Carried by the Lonesome Drifter, the Magnum can be stolen or looted from the man, or be bartered for during the Talent Pool side quest. The Mysterious Magnum makes for a great holdout weapon for any sneaky feller. It deals 6 more damage per shot, 42 versus 36, attacks faster, 2.44 rounds per second versus 1.88, it costs fewer action points to use, and has a tighter spread. The Mysterious Magnum does come with 2 downsides, however. It is less durable, breaking after 745 rounds versus the 1245 of the standard Magnum, and weighs half a pound more. The durability does suck, but it's not a bad weapon at all. Mysterious Magnum is an overt reference to the Mysterious Stranger perk and character. This is confirmed when you draw the Mysterious Magnum and the Mysterious Stranger sound plays. Paciencia. The next unique weapon on the list is the unique hunting rifle Paciencia. It can be purchased by Cliff Briscoe in Novak, or if Cliff Briscoe is dead, the Gunrunner's Vendortron will also sell the weapon. The Paciencia, while compared to the standard hunting rifle, really shines when you add some more crit chance into your build. It deals 3 additional damage, 55 versus 52, attacks slightly faster at a rate of 1.18 versus 0.95. This raises its DPS to 65.1 versus 49.3. The big difference is the staggering crit damage it deals, 110 versus 52. Coupled with its increased crit chance, 3.5 times iron sight zoom, and measly 3-round magazine capacity, the Paciencia is a long-range legend. In Spanish, the word Paciencia means patience. According to Josh Sawyer, they chose this name because you have 3 shots, so you better make them count. Rat Slayer. The next weapon on our little adventure is one of the coolest looking weapons in the game. I only wish it did more damage. The Rat Slayer is the unique variant of the Varmint Rifle. It can ironically be found in the Brockflower Cave, surrounded by a bunch of giant rats. While the Rat Slayer is better than the Varmint Rifle in every category, the whole weapon class just doesn't do a whole lot of damage. It deals 23 damage per round, attacks 1.3 times per second, putting its DPS at 30, 8 more DPS than the standard Varmint Rifle. It has a whopping ×5 crit modifier and costs 33 AP to use in VATS. A higher magazine capacity, increased durability, and lighter frame rounds out the final stats for this weapon. Sure, it crits on almost every shot and is extremely accurate, but it just doesn't have that much firepower as other semi-auto rifles. The name comes from its engraving on the stock. 69 tally marks next to an etching of a mole rat's head proves that this unique Varmint Rifle is truly the slayer of rat kind. Sleepy Time. Sleepy Time is a unique suppressed variant of the 10mm SMG. It can be purchased from the Vendortron at Gunrunners. Relative to the standard 10mm SMG, Sleepy Time packs quite the punch. It deals 22 damage per shot versus 19, fires an additional round per second, 10 versus 9, putting its total DPS at 220 versus 171. It uniquely fires an additional shot in VATS, putting its damage per action point at 4 versus the standard 2.6. Lastly, it has a magazine capacity of 40 versus 30. Both Sleepy Time and the normal 10mm SMG have a durability of 2,495 rounds before breaking. It also strangely enough counts as a holdout weapon, perfect if you want to cause a bit of ruckus in the Strip's casinos. Unfortunately, I can't find any reference to a Sleepy Time, especially one with such a unique spelling. As mentioned with Bloodnap, sleep is often used as a slang term for dying. For example, putting someone to sleep might mean killing them. Sleepy Time might mean that it's time for someone to die. I'd wager that the silenced holdout nature and dark design of the weapon reinforces this meaning, as sleep is often associated with being quiet and the nighttime. I know, bit of a basic or rudimentary explanation, but unfortunately that's all I've got. Sturdy Caravan Shotgun. The Sturdy Caravan Shotgun is a unique variant of the Caravan Shotgun given to the Courier at the beginning of the game, part of the Courier's Stash DLC. If your plan is to barrel snuff the enemy, there's no real reason to use the normal Caravan Shotgun over the Sturdy variant. The summary of the Sturdy Caravan Shotgun is that it has more damage, but also a crazy amount of spread. As with all shotguns, as long as you're hitting all your pellets, you'll be pumping. The name for the Sturdy Caravan Shotgun comes from its increased durability, capable of firing 1,495 times before breaking, compared to the standard 695, an increase of 800 rounds. More than double. Not bad for a free weapon, right? Survivalist's Rifle. The next weapon is a fan favorite, a unique service rifle belonging to the survivalist Randall Clark. It can be retrieved from the survivalist duffel bag at the summit of Red Gate. Despite some wear and tear, notably the misaligned iron sights, the survivalist rifle is one of the best weapons in the game. It deals a whopping 30 more points of damage per shot compared to the normal service rifle, and although it has a slightly slower fire rate, it still boasts a 111.6 damage per second increase. While it uses some more action points and VATS, it still has double the damage per action point of the normal service rifle, 2.4 versus 1.2. A tighter weapon spread ensures your aim will be true. The only real downside is that it has half the magazine capacity, 10 versus 20. The survivalist rifle is associated with one of the cooler side stories of any New Vegas DLC. Once belonging to a former United States soldier, a man named Randall Clark, it would be brought to Zion National Park in the aftermath of the Great War. Clark would become the silent protector of a group of children, and unknowingly aided in the mythology of the Sorrows tribe. The full story of Randall Clark would be better suited for its own video. Check out Synonymous's YouTube channel for that. Etched in the side of the weapon reads, "Property of U.S. Government Checkpoint Carbine 12.7 mm Cal," and "Long Branch Arsenal, Ontario, USA Territory," indicating whereabouts Clark served during the Resource Wars. The words "stop" and "arret" on the stock add a bit more flavor, showcasing Canada's bilingual nature. Great gun, great story. An all-timer right here. That gun. Next is that gun. No, not that gun, but that gun. That gun is a unique 5.56 pistol that can be found in the Dinobite gift shop in Novak. Relative to the standard 5.56 pistol, it deals more damage, attacks faster, has a higher crit modifier, costs less AP to use, has a tighter spread, and is more durable. Notably, it's the cheapest unique gun available to buy in New Vegas, coming in at a mere 1,750 caps. It's better all across the board. Like the other 5.56 pistols in New Vegas and the 223 pistol in Fallout 1 and 2, the gun is modeled after Rick Deckard's personal sidearm in the 1982 movie Blade Runner. But that's not why it's called that gun. According to Josh Sawyer, that gun got its name from the fact that many fans have referred to the 223 pistol as that gun in Fallout 1 and 2. It's just that gun, you know? This machine. This machine is a unique battle rifle given to the courier after completing the unmarked quest dealing with Contreras. Daniel Contreras will give you the gun if you don't turn him in. Lieutenant Boyd will give it to you if you do. I really like this machine. It's a neat looking rifle. It's also better than the normal battle rifle in every measurable category. Higher damage, faster fire rate, lower AP cost, tighter weapon spread, and better durability. It's equal in weight and magazine capacity. This machine is based on the infamous ping-sounding rifle, the M1 Garand. As for the name, this machine has the words, "Well, this machine kills commies," etched into the side of the gun. This phrase seems to serve as a direct reply to folk legend Woody Guthrie's etching on his own guitar. Woody's guitar reads, "This machine kills fascists." Guthrie famously wrote the 1943 war song, Talking Hitler's Head Off Blues, and, inspired by the song's success, added the phrase to his guitar as a sign of protest against Hitler's fascist regime. This machine seems to echo the phrase, albeit it takes on a more McCarthyism approach, protesting communism instead. Vance's 9mm SMG. The next unique weapon is Vance's 9mm SMG, a unique variant of the 9mm SMG. After it had been stolen from the Vicky and Vance casino, the weapon can be found in pristine condition inside of a very hard-lock safe in the Wynn's hideout. Vance's version of the SMG is an all-around better weapon. 17 damage versus 14, 221 DPS versus 154, 5 rounds fired in VATS versus 4, a 60-round drum mag instead of the standard 30 straight mag. Vance's SMG can also fire 3,745 times before breaking, 1,000 more compared to the default SMG's 2,745 rounds. Vicky and Vance are direct references to the real-world Bonnie and Clyde, a pair of outlaws and lovers. While on the run in the 1930s, the pair used a multitude of weapons, including shotguns, sawed-off bars, and the Thompson submachine gun. They would be killed in a deadly shootout with law enforcement in 1934. Now, the 9mm in New Vegas is based off the M3 SMG, commonly known as the grease gun. It would have been impossible for the outlaw couple to have used the grease gun, as it was developed in the early 1940s. But as New Vegas doesn't have any sort of Tommy gun lookalike, I suppose the 9mm SMG was the next best thing. Weathered 10mm pistol. The final unique weapon in the guns category is the weathered 10mm pistol. Unsurprisingly, the weathered 10mm pistol is a unique variant of the 10mm pistol. A notable feature of the weathered 10mm is that it is one of the few uniques that can be modded. A fully modded 10mm pistol easily outperforms the regular 10mm pistol, and despite the name, it looks like it's in better condition too. The weathered variant deals 2 more damage per shot, putting its DPS at 66 versus 60.5. It has a higher mag capacity, 16 versus 12, and is more durable, breaking after 445 shots versus the standard 395. The worst bit about the weathered version is that, unlike the standard version, it doesn't count as a holdout weapon. All in all, it's not an absolute demon slayer, but you do get it for free. So who's complaining? No real name reference, it's just a freebie weapon you get for having the Courier's Stash DLC. AER-14 Prototype. To start off the energy weapons category is the unique laser rifle, the AER-14 Prototype. You've probably seen me use this weapon pretty frequently whenever I upload some New Vegas footage. It's just cool looking, you know? It can be found in the Vault 22 common room, laying next to a scorched skeleton. Relative to the default laser rifle, the AE-14 slaps. 35 damage versus 22, it has a bit of a slower attack rate, but its DPS remains high at 105 damage per second versus the standard's 67.8. It comes with a 2x crit modifier and an ever so slightly reduced weapon spread. A unique feature of the weapon is that while the magazine capacity is 24, it fires 2 microfusion cells per trigger pull. It weighs half a pound more and is unfortunately slightly less durable, 495 shots before breaking versus the standard 620. I mean, what can you do? It's still a prototype after all. The name of the weapon serves as a reference to it being the successor to the AER-9 laser rifle that we typically see in the Fallout universe. This guy. As a prototype, the AER-14 has a lot of exposed wires, some black marker etchings, and notably a sticky note on its rear. The sticky note refers to real math, science, and laser physics that Josh Sawyer had to do some research for. 1064 nm means 1064 nanometers. This is the wavelength of the laser and corresponds to infrared. 532 nanometers corresponds to green light with SHG, meaning second harmonic generation. This is a frequency conversion process, turning the infrared beam to a green beam instead. The 8.18 pm likely stands for 8.18 picometers, which could refer to the laser's bandwidth. I don't know, I'm no laser expert. Google works wonders. Alien Blaster. The Alien Blaster is a wholly unique weapon only accessible to those living in a wilder wasteland. Found part of a close encounter with some extraterrestrials, the courier must defeat those from another planet in order to gain the blaster. Since there's nothing to compare it to, let's just run through some of the numbers. It deals 75 damage per attack, attacks 1.8 times per second, giving it a DPS of 131.3. It has no weapon spread, absolutely beaming targets. It can fire 10 times before reloading, and can be fired 2,495 times before breaking, but you'll never break the Alien Blaster as there isn't enough ammo in the game for that. While not having a specific name reference, the weapon's appearance is inspired by the many ray guns commonly found across the sci-fi genre. Cleansing Flame. Cleansing Flame is the unique flamer, able to be bought from Gloria Van Graff. Like all other GRA weapons, it can be bought from the Gunrunner's Vendortron if Gloria is KIA. It notably fires a blue flame instead of the default red-orange. While the weapon has a lower base damage when compared to the standard flamer, its damage over time burn effect is stronger and scales with the player's energy weapon skill. At 100 energy weapon skill, Cleansing Flame's burn effect deals 10 damage over 6 seconds, totaling 60 damage over the duration. This, coupled with its longer range, greater durability, and fuel capacity, makes Cleansing Flame the clear flamer victor. The term cleansing flame has been used in plenty of fictional works: Diablo, Warhammer, Elden Ring, Guild Wars, and more. I believe it comes from religious works often depicting fire as a symbol capable of cleansing impurities or evil. In this sense, New Vegas's cleansing flame is purifying the wasteland, one roasted enemy at a time. Compliance Regulator. Another weapon once belonging to the survivalist, the Compliance Regulator is a unique version of the laser pistol. It comes with a neat little unique model as well, as it lacks the handguard that other laser pistols feature. It can be found in the Fallen Rock Cave of Zion Valley in the Honest Hearts DLC. The Compliance Regulator isn't really made for damage, and is one of the few unique weapons that is worse damage-wise than its standard counterparts. It has nearly identical stats to that of the standard laser pistol, but it deals 4 less damage on hit. What makes the Compliance Regulator noteworthy, though, is that 1. It fires a blue beam, and 2. On critical strikes, the weapon paralyzes the target for 10 seconds. The Compliance Regulator is a play on a standard taser gun. Blue beam like a taser's electrical jolt, a paralyzing effect, and it even sort of resembles a stun gun. The name Compliance Regulator matches the purpose of a stun gun. The Wikipedia entry reads, "A stun gun is a device used to immobilize an attacker or gain pain compliance without causing serious injury." It's just Fallout's version of a stun gun. Elijah's jury-rigged Tesla cannon. The next unique energy weapon is Elijah's jury-rigged Tesla cannon. It can be found near one of the sentry guns at Elijah's Watch in the Big Empty. While this jury-rigged Tesla cannon is stronger than the standard Tesla cannon, its low durability can make it quite costly to repair. Damage-wise though, it's quite strong. A single shot from the jury-rigged cannon deals 85 damage, and at a fire rate of 1.58 shots per second, it reaches a DPS of 154.2. But that's not all. It also comes with an electrical damage over time effect, dealing 20 more damage over 2 seconds. Somehow, Elijah made his Tesla cannon having absolutely zero spread, making it a surefire blaster. While strong, the durability of it is its biggest drawback. I mean, it is jury-rigged after all. Elijah's Tesla cannon can fire 245 times before breaking, versus the 395 times of the standard Tesla cannon. As for a name reference, this specific Tesla cannon is merely a heavy weapon that Elder Elijah managed to put together during his time in the Big Empty. Euclid's Seafinder. Euclid's Seafinder is another wholly unique weapon in New Vegas. It is carried by youngster Max in Freeside near Mick and Ralph's. The Euclid's Seafinder is a handheld rangefinder used for the Archimedes 2 orbital laser platform. If Archimedes 2 has been activated through that Lucky Old Sun side quest, pulling the trigger on the Seafinder will result in a 5-second sequence of the platform finding its target. Upon completion, a deadly beam emits from the satellite, annihilating whatever was targeted. The blast has a base damage of 150, and its damage scales with the player's energy weapon skill. It can only be fired once every 24 in-game hours, and cannot be used indoors. Danger close and all that. The weapon's name comes from the math it uses to find its target, Euclidean geometry. By knowing the coordinates of 2 points, A and B, and by knowing the distance between them and a third point, C, one can use some geometry to find the coordinates of the third point, C. One can find C. Euclid's Seafinder. How about that, eh? Hollow Rifle. The Hollow Rifle, like Euclid's Seafinder, is another truly unique weapon, having no common variant. It's given to the courier at the start of the Dead Money DLC. When I say the Hollow Rifle is truly unique, I mean it. There is no other gun in New Vegas that's like it. The Hollow Rifle acts as a sort of scoped pump-action energy blaster. Unlike all other weapons in the game, the Hollow Rifle uses microfusion cells to fire a photon-based energy projectile. It deals 80 damage per shot and has a quick damage over time effect, dealing 15 damage over 3 seconds. It fires fairly slowly, has a low mag capacity, but reloads quite quickly. It can fire a total of 495 times before breaking, but be warned, as once it breaks, it can only be repaired using weapon repair kits or by talking with repair merchants. It can also be modded, upping the damage by 25 points. There's even a mod that ups its durability by a mere 8 more shots before breaking. How useless is that? The hollow rifle is yet another creation of Father Elijah. It uses technology obtained from both the Big Empty and Sierra Madre. Elijah uses a standard grenade launcher as the base and modified it with a hologram emitter, using MF cells to power the creation. Thus, the hologram rifle was born. MF Hyperbreeder Alpha. The MF Hyperbreeder Alpha is the unique variant of the Recharger pistol. It is sold by Cliff Briscoe in Novak, or the Gunrunner's Vendortron if you know what happened. The MF Hyperbreeder Alpha is a formidable version of the Recharger pistol, maybe one of the biggest upgrades between unique and standard versions. With 25 damage per shot and 7 shots fired per second, the Hyperbreeder deals out a total DPS of 175 versus the Recharger pistol's 90. Almost double. And yes, while the Hyperbreeder has a smaller mag size, its speedy recharging nature makes it so that it can fire 19 shots from full recharge before needing to wait to charge back up again, sort of negating the lower mag size. The real downside is that the weapon spread is 10 times that of the standard Recharger pistol, 1.0 versus 0.1. It's great for getting up close and personal and just blasting away your opponent. Based on the name MF Hyperbreeder Alpha or Microfusion Hyperbreeder Alpha, the weapon uses some sort of prototype super fast microfusion breeder that allows for a rapid recharge. Missing Laser Pistol. As you may have guessed, the Missing Laser Pistol is a unique variant of the Laser Pistol. It can be found during the unmarked side quest Pistol Packing. Brotherhood of Steel Quartermaster Knight Torres mentions that she's missing a single laser pistol from her inventory. The courier can offer to help track it down. After speaking with the last member to see said pistol, Initiate Stanton, you learn that he left it at Scorpion Gulch after not realizing just how many scorpions are at a place called Scorpion Gulch. Head there, and the missing laser pistol is yours for the taking. Now, while you can keep it if you'd like, it's quite trash. And by that, I mean it shares the exact same stats as the default laser pistol with exactly 1 less damage. How bollocks is that, eh? Perpetually taunting you that this weapon is just a piece of junk. I suppose it's made that way so you're inclined to return it, but if you do want to keep it, it technically counts as a quest item and cannot be removed from your inventory, ensuring that you'll always stay strapped even in the toughest of times. As for the name, we kinda already went over that. The Missing Laser Pistol is a laser pistol that is missing. Pew Pew. Another unique laser pistol is next with Pew Pew. It can be found next to the corpse of Sunset Sarsaparilla Star Bottle Cap Hunter Alan Marks in the Sunset Sarsaparilla HQ. True to Marks' obsession with the Legend of the Star, Pew Pew is clad in the beverage's signature colors. It is by far the strongest laser pistol in the game, dealing 75 damage per shot. Even with its slower fire rate, it still dishes out over 3 times the DPS of your standard laser pistol, 150 versus 45. The only real downside of Pew Pew is that it has a small mag capacity at 10 versus the standard 30. On top of this, Pew Pew, true to its name, expends 5 energy cells per shot, meaning that you can only pew and pew before you have to reload. Still, each pew does pretty big damn. As mentioned, Pew Pew gets its name from 1. Making a pew pew sound when firing it, and 2. Only being able to go pew pew before being forced to reload. Pulse Gun. Like a few of the other entries, the Pulse Gun has no standard counterpart. It is completely unique. It can be found inside of a locked chest within the Vault 34 armory. While the weapon does a measly 5 damage per shot, it's not intended to take out fleshy beings. Rather, the Pulse Gun has a unique on-hit effect that deals 250 damage to robots and 110 damage to power armor-clad folks. It attacks once per second and can fire 5 times before reloading. While it has a niche use, it's very good at said niche. The pulse gun gets its name from being an electromagnetic pulse-based weapon. A short burst of electromagnetic energy is emitted from the weapon's barrel. This burst is capable of disabling or damaging electronic equipment. Voila, the pulse gun. Q35 Matter Modulator. The Q35 Matter Modulator is the first unique plasma rifle that we'll be covering today. The weapon can be found behind a very hard-locked door in the RepCon headquarters. The Q35 is all around better than its standard counterpart. While it does deal 7 less damage per shot, its rate of fire skyrockets the Q35's DPS, putting it at 96 versus 65.8. On critical strikes, it also deals significantly more damage, dealing an additional 62 versus 47, making it a great energy weapon if you've got high luck and crit-related perks. And lastly, the Q35's durability is unmatched, breaking after 1,245 shots versus the 370 of the standard plasma rifle. The Q35 Matter Modulator is a reference to Marvin the Martian's Illudium Q36 explosive space modulator, a weapon which he uses to try and destroy Earth. The weapon is shaped like a stick of dynamite. Marvin's efforts are often foiled by Bugs Bunny. Spurtle Wood 9700. The Spurtle Wood 9700 is a unique Gatling laser added in the Gunrunner's Arsenal DLC. It can be bought at the Silver Rush from Gloria Van Graff, or, say it with me, the Vendertron if Gloria's face is on a milk carton. Honestly, I have a hard time telling if I prefer this one over the normal Gatling laser. Sure, the Spurtle Wood does more damage per shot, but it has a lower fire rate, lower mag capacity, and lower durability. I mean, if you really want to Gatling laser your foes, I'd recommend just fully modding a normal Gatling laser. A fully modded Gatling laser deals 70 more DPS than the Spurtle Wood, and deals 0.9 more damage per action point in VATS, holds 150 more rounds per magazine, can fire 2,500 more times before breaking, and weighs 6 pounds less. I'm just not sure the Spurtle Wood is worth the price tag, you feel me? As for the name reference, the Spurtle Wood 9700 acts as an homage to 2 of Josh Sawyer's friends and schoolmates who unfortunately passed away, Scott Spurtle and Brian Wood. It's a nice way to immortalize those gone too soon. Tesla Beaton Prototype. The Tesla Beaton Prototype is a unique Tesla cannon that can be found at the crashed vertibird near the old nuclear test site. In my opinion, this Tesla cannon is complete garbo. Yes, it's better than the standard Tesla cannon in most categories, damage, spread, and ammo capacity, and its damage over time effect deals 5 more damage than the default Tesla cannon's dot, but it has more than half the durability, only able to fire 195 times before breaking versus the 395 of the standard. Coupled with the weapon's high value, it becomes one of the most expensive weapons to maintain. It's just a bit impractical. If you really want to be a Tesla cannon gamer, maybe don't. The Tesla Beaton Prototype is a reference to webcomic artist Kate Beaton, whose Hark a Vagrant series often features Nikola Tesla. The Smitty Special. The Smitty Special is a unique plasma caster added in the Gunrunner's arsenal. It can be purchased from Gloria Van Graff at the Silver Rush or the Vendertron at Gunrunners. Smile emoji. Like some of the other heavy weapons, it's hard to evaluate the Smitty Special. The best summary I've got is that if you're using VATS all the time, use the Smitty Special. If you don't use VATS that often, better to use a fully modded plasma caster. Let's go over the numbers. Damage, Smitty 35, plasma caster 65. Rate of fire, Smitty 7, plasma caster 3. A modded plasma caster ups the fire rate to 375, giving both the modded plasma caster and the Smitty Special a near identical DPS at 245. Why I say the Smitty is great for VATS is that the Smitty fires 3 shots in VATS compared to the 1 from the normal plasma caster. This gives it a full 1 damage per action point spent over the default plasma caster, which is pretty solid. As for the name, I believe the Smitty Special is referring to Smitty the Blacksmith in the first Fallout. As a reward for fixing the hydroponic farms in Addendum, Smitty upgrades the Vault Dweller's plasma caster into a turbo plasma caster, alluding to the Smitty special's increased rate of fire. The Van Graff weapons. The next two unique weapons are Giga Trash quest items provided to the courier during the Birds of a Feather side quest. The Van Graffs give you some armor and a choice of laser or plasma rifle for your shift on guard duty. Once that's done, they thankfully take the weapons out of your inventory. Both Van Graff weapons are worse versions of the unmodded standard variants. They have identical stats except for dealing less damage on hit. The laser rifle deals 7 less damage on hit, and the plasma rifle deals 15 less damage on hit. The only upside, and this is the smallest upside ever, is that both weapons require an energy skills rating of 0 to use instead of the typical 25. Yeah, they're both Giga Trash. As for the names, they're just the unique weapons offered to you by the Van Graff family. Easy peasy. YCS 186. And the last unique energy weapon is the unique Gauss rifle, the YCS 186. This weapon can only be found in the more down-to-earth wastelands, as if you have the Wild Wasteland trait, the Alien Blaster will replace it. It can be found at the mercenary camp east of Brooks Tumbleweed Ranch, carried by a hostile mercenary. While I can't say whether or not you should go for the Alien Blaster or YCS 186, I can say that the YCS is better than the normal Gauss rifle. The YCS has a higher damage, higher durability, and tighter weapon spread compared to the normal Gauss rifle. It also uses less ammo per shot, 4 versus 5. The only downside is that it weighs 1 more pound, but we take those. I believe YCS 186 is a reference to the Your Console Sucks section of the Something Awful forums. YCS is Your Console Sucks, and 186 corresponds to the forum ID number of Your Console Sucks. Josh Sawyer has been a known poster and participant on the Something Awful forums, and the YCS 186 isn't the only reference to Something Awful in New Vegas. Esther. Starting with the explosive weapons, the first one up is the unique Fat Man, Esther. Esther can be bought from the Vendortron at Gunrunners. Now, on the technical side of things, how does one make a Fat Man do more damage? Bigger Bomba, perhaps? However it was achieved, Esther is an absolute beast. Esther deals an additional 75 direct damage, with of course its 600 damage explosive effect. While Esther is a hefty beast, weighing 40 pounds, it also costs fewer action points to use, and has a higher durability, being able to fire 620 mini-nukes before breaking, versus the standard 495. It also uniquely gives the courier some additional defense bonuses when equipped. It adds plus 10 to your damage threshold, and adds 25 radiation resistance, mitigating some of the danger close worries when using the Fat Man. I suppose this is reflected in-game through the blast shield. Now, the name reference for Esther may just be a random name given to the Fat Man. It's hard to find a definitive and sourced reference for why the unique Fat Man is called Esther. Great Bear Grenade Rifle. Now we have a couple of grenade rifles. The Great Bear Grenade Rifle is a unique grenade rifle added in the Lonesome Road DLC. It can be found in a gun case near Colonel Royez, but only if the courier chooses to launch the missiles at the NCR. The Great Bear Rifle deals more direct damage, same explosive damage, lower AP cost, and a tighter weapon spread. It can be fired 1,245 times before breaking, versus the standard 495. It also weighs 1 less pound. I think we're going to move on to the weapon's complementary counterpart before talking about references. Red Victory Grenade Rifle. The alternative to the Great Bear Grenade Rifle is the Red Victory Grenade Rifle. It can be found in a gun case west of Drywalls, but only if the courier directs the missiles at the Legion. Red Victory deals less contact damage than the Great Bear, but weighs less. All grenade rifles do the same 100 points of explosion damage, Red Victory can fire 620 grenades before breaking compared to the standard 495. Now, as for references, the Great Bear Rifle and Red Victory Grenade Rifle represent pre-war nationalism, with the former featuring an American Armed Forces star and the latter showcasing the Chinese flag design. I think that obtaining one of these weapons serves as a reminder that even after nuclear devastation, war never changes. It highlights how the Courier and Ulysses repeat these same mistakes as the pre-war superpowers, emphasizing the reoccurring theme of humanity's tendency towards conflict. Mercenaries Grenade Rifle. Okay, now another dumb one. The Mercenaries Grenade Rifle is a unique grenade rifle given to the Courier at the start of the game, part of the Courier's Stash add-on. Unlike many of the Courier's Stash weapons, the Merc Grenade Rifle is nearly identical to its standard variant. The only difference is that it weighs half a pound less and requires no skill to use. 0 explosive skill versus 25. Don't ask me for a name reference, it's just a unique weapon. Though I will take this time to mention that all grenade rifles are based on the real-world M79 grenade launcher. Isn't that neat? Thump Thump. And the last unique grenade rifle is Thump Thump. It can be found in the Nellis Array in the Nellis Air Force Base. Get the key for the building by starting the Ant Misbehavin' quest. It's really hard to make these grenade rifles unique. Thump Thump deals the same damage as a normal grenade rifle, but fires faster, the grenades fly faster, it weighs half a pound less, and can fire 125 more grenades before breaking. Thump Thump is a reference to the common nickname American soldiers gave to the real-world M79 grenade launcher, Thumper. Thumper is also the name for the M79 in Modern Warfare 2. I remember that one. Mercy. Moving on from grenade rifles, we venture onto something a bit faster. Mercy is a unique 40mm grenade machine gun. It can be found in Deadwind Cavern next to a Brotherhood Paladin. Mercy is a weapon of mass destruction. It deals 5 contact damage versus 0 of the standard grenade machine gun. It deals 50 more explosive damage, 100 versus 50, fires slightly faster, 3.1 versus 3 attacks per second. All this combined more than doubles Mercy's DPS compared to its standard counterparts, 325 versus 150. It has a small capacity, only carrying 18 grenades versus 30, but it has a much higher durability, breaking after 2,495 shots versus 995. I think the weapon is a reference to Fallout 3's unique Gatling laser, Vengeance. Both weapons are found in Deathclaw-infested caves, are powerful heavy weapons, and their words are antonyms of each other. Annabelle. The second to last unique New Vegas weapon is the unique missile launcher, Annabelle. Annabelle is carried by the Nightkin Sniper at Black Mountain. Annabelle is a solid alternative to the standard missile launcher. It deals more contact damage, costs less AP to use in VATS, has a tighter weapon spread, weighs less, and can fire 250 more missiles before breaking. It's an all-around great choice. As for a reference, your guess is as good as mine. The weapon features the name Annabelle on its barrel, as well as some other markings, notably a Canadian maple leaf and the 5 Chinese stars. It's likely that this rocket launcher saw plenty of action in both the Sino-American War and the annexation of Canada. Holy Frag Grenade. And the final unique New Vegas weapon is the Holy Frag Grenade, a unique version of the frag grenade. 3 of them can be found in the basement of the church in Camp Searchlight. The Holy Frag Grenades are the biggest bombas in New Vegas, even doing more damage than the Fat Man. The Holy Frag Grenade deals a whopping 800 explosion damage relative to the Frag Grenade's 125 and the Fat Man's 600. Other than that, it shares the exact same stats as the normal Frag Grenade, just a big bomba. The Holy Frag Grenade serves as a reference to the Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch from the 1975 movie Monty Python and the Holy Grail. The writing on the box is a further reference to a classic quote from the movie. And that wraps up our little exploration of New Vegas's unique weapons. If you stuck around the whole time, I really appreciate it. Like the Fallout 3 unique weapon video, this took me forever to script and make, and I hope you liked it. Have a good rest of your day. Cheers.
Howdy there, partner. Maybe it's time to give these tired old bones a rest. All right, show me what you've got. I suppose it's only right you get a little something for your troubles. Here, my daddy left me this gun. Guess I don't need it no more.